Hi everyone. So with the coronavirus and the lockdown really exposing a lot of issues such as inequality and the difficulties that a lot of people face in terms of job security and salaries and so on, we have had a few fascinating stories this week from the royals. First off, the palace said that they are going to be losing £18 million of income this year. Now they clearly want to be seen to be suffering with the rest of us and saying, well, look, we're all in this together. But the way this was spun is pretty dishonest. The implication was that the grant that they get, the sovereign grant, which is currently at around £80 million every year, would be falling by around £18 million for this current financial year. Now, that simply isn't the case. And we know it's not the case for two reasons. Firstly, the income they're talking about is income from ticket sales to the art collection to Buckingham Palace when it's open for 2 months of the year. And this is additional income which is used to pay for certain aspects of upkeep and running of the palace. But the sovereign grant at about £80 million a year at the moment comes from the taxpayer. Is paid by the Treasury in full. It's not coming from the Crown Estate, as some people think. And it has a very clear mechanism within the rules of the grant which says it cannot ever go down from the year before. So if it hit £80 million last year, it's going to be at least £80 million this year, and it is pegged to 25% of Crown Estate profits, although it's not coming from those profits. So the Crown Estate owns so much land; it's such a wealthy landlord, as it were, that is there to produce money for the Treasury. It's almost certain that their profits will continue to go up despite the current crisis and the lockdown. So we can expect the grant that we give to the royals to keep going up year on year. And of course, none of this is ever based on any assessment of need. No one ever looks at the royal family and say, well, what do you actually need us to give you? It's just, well, here's a whole load of money because the Crown Estate's had a good year. So it's interesting that they spun it like this. One source I spoke to told me that the royal annual accounts, which normally come out in the last week of June, are likely to be postponed. So I think there's two things here. Firstly, they're trying to say, look, we're all in this together. And secondly, they're going to delay a report which they probably don't want coming out during the middle of this crisis, which will show another year-on-year increase in spending, as well as any details that they might have on individual costs, such as travelling around the country by helicopter. So they're really keen not to look bad in during the lockdown and the crisis when so many people are losing their jobs. And indeed, what is disgraceful is that on the back of this news that they're losing £18 million is that this incredibly wealthy family are not dipping their hands into their pockets. They are instead laying off staff and introducing pay freezes for those they keep. So the lowest paid people within the royal household and who work in these buildings are going to be the ones who bear the brunt of these losses. Also this week, which sort of came in under the radar to some extent, it was reported reasonably widely in the press, but there's so much else going on that you wonder whether this is deliberately timed. You may remember that Frogmore Cottage was given by the Queen to Prince Harry and Meghan when they got married, and we're not quite sure how she managed to do that because it's not hers to give, but there you go, it's Crown Estate property. But the taxpayer was then asked to stump up £2.5 million to refurbish that house so they can live in it, with the understanding that they would then be active members of the royal family. When they decided to quit and move to North America, there was an outcry about that cost. Now they have now said they're going to pay it back, but they're going to pay it back at £18,000 a month, which to you and I sounds like a lot, but that is probably less than they earn on the interest alone on their own personal savings. And it means that it will take them 11 years to pay back this £2.5 million. Now, the notion that they cannot find the money to, even if they have to borrow on their assets, to pay this money back is quite frankly a joke. So, they are again just not taking the public and the taxpayer seriously, doing absolutely bare minimum and hoping that we will say, well, thank you very much for that. So, there needs to be more pressure to say to Harry and Meghan, you owe us £2.5 million, let's have it back. Not counting, of course, the huge amount of money that we spent on their wedding, which I think it's only fair that they give that back as well. And then, of course, the other story that was quite extraordinary is Prince Charles joining in this government initiative, saying, imploring us all to head to the fields and till the soil and pick the fruit and the veg and all the rest of it to save the agricultural sector. Now, the state the agricultural sector is in because of the virus and the crisis is a serious issue, but this is quite a controversial one for Charles because, the issue of immigrant labourers, low-paid jobs, and the impact that Brexit's had on all that is all very controversial. And so it's kind of surprising in a way that he's waded into this, but it's just so crass. I mean, the reaction across the board, really, from conservative commentators through to Republican critics, was who are you telling us as the sort of the lord in the manor with your nice tweed suit, saying, come on plebs, head to the fields, let's get digging, it's going to be hard work, it's going to be challenging. This is a man who probably hasn't done a serious day's hard work for a very, very, very long time, if ever, imploring us to, give up on our normal concerns, our everyday concerns, thinking that furloughed staff are just having an easy time of it, that unemployed staff can easily just, up sticks and move across country to where the farms are. This is so telling of how detached Charles is and so crass and arrogant that it's no surprise at all that it's been met with the reaction that it has. So I think that all of these stories just again go to show that the royal family are completely detached from the concerns of ordinary people. They're always trying to put themselves in the best possible light whilst still getting as much as they can from us, the taxpayer. And that's just one of many, many reasons why they should be asked to move on, so we can put in its place a democratic system with people that we can choose, and if they behave like this, then we can also then get rid of them and choose someone else. More on that in the next episode of Graham at Republic, which will be out next week, where I'll be doing giving a fuller case for getting rid of the monarchy and for the democratic alternative. So that's it for me for now. I'm going to be trying to react quickly to all of these stories as they break in the future. We always do this with react very quickly with press releases and on Twitter and so on, but I'm adding the YouTube commentary to that reaction. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Any questions, comments or suggestions, YouTube at republic.org.uk, or use the comment section below. See you next time.